Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive
Yep.
here on the Book Summary Podcast channel.
Yeah.
Today we're cracking open Kamal Ravikant's Love Yourself, like your life depends on it. You know,
Right.
that intriguing title.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder if we're not taking self-love seriously enough.
For sure.
What do you think?
It's so true.
So anyway,
Yeah.
if you're ready to explore this powerful idea with us,
Yeah.
smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future deep dives.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
So
That title really grabs your attention.
it really does.
And what's fascinating here
Yeah.
is that the book itself was born out of a pretty intense personal crisis.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Ravikant was dealing with health issues.
Mm-hmm.
His business was failing.
Right.
He was going through a painful breakup,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd even lost a close friend.
Oh, man.
Like, he was really at rock bottom.
Yeah. That sounds
Oh.
incredibly rough.
It's almost hard to imagine having to go through all of that at once.
Yeah.
So what was it that helped him pull himself out of such a dark place?
Well, it all started with a simple but incredibly powerful commitment he made to himself.
Okay.
Like, he literally wrote down,
Mhm.
"This day I vow to myself to love myself, to treat myself as someone I love truly and deeply."
Wow.
And the key here is that
Yeah.
he didn't just write it down and forget about it.
Right.
He decided to practice self-love with the same intensity you'd use if your life actually depended on it.
Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah.
It really puts things into perspective. It's
Yeah.
like, if loving yourself was the only way to survive,
Yeah.
how would you approach it?
Yeah.
That's a powerful question, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
And that intensity is what sets Ravikant's approach apart.
Okay.
He started with something he calls the mental loop.
Okay. Yeah.
Essentially, he repeated the phrase, "I love myself," constantly throughout the day,
Right.
almost like a mantra.
Yeah. That reminds me of affirmations.
Yeah.
But with a real sense of urgency behind them.
Right.
I've tried affirmations before,
Yeah.
but I have to admit,
Yeah.
I haven't always been consistent.
Hmm.
Do you think the key here is really about the repetition?
Mm.
Like rewiring your brain with those positive statements?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
You see, when we repeat something consistently,
Mm-hmm.
it actually strengthens the neural pathways associated with that thought.
Hmm.
It's like carving a path through a forest.
Okay.
The more you walk that path, the clearer and easier it becomes to travel.
Right.
So by constantly repeating, "I love myself,"
Right.
Ravikant was essentially carving a new pathway in his brain, one that led to self-love.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's not just about positive thinking.
Right.
There's actual science behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember
Yeah.
Ravikant also talks about negative thoughts as darkness,
Right.
almost like a dirty window blocking out the light.
Right.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah. He uses that analogy to illustrate how our negative thoughts can cloud our perception
Mm-hmm.
and prevent us from seeing the good in ourselves and in the world.
Right.
The practice of self-love in this context is like cleaning that window,
Right.
letting the light of self-acceptance shine through.
Okay, that's a really powerful image.
It is.
It makes you realize how much our thoughts can shape our reality. Yeah. Have you ever noticed
Totally.
that when you're feeling down on yourself,
Mhm.
everything seems harder and more negative?
Yeah,
It's like you're wearing those dark glasses that distort your view.
absolutely.
Right.
And what's interesting is that
Yeah.
Ravikant doesn't just focus on the mental aspect of self-love.
Okay.
He also introduces a 7-minute meditation practice
Oh.
that combines visualization,
Okay.
breath work,
Mm-hmm.
and the affirmation, "I love myself."
Ooh, a meditation.
Yeah.
I'm always curious about different meditation techniques.
Mm.
Can you walk us through what that looks like?
Sure. Imagine this.
Oh,
You're sitting comfortably, maybe
Mhm.
listening to some calming music,
Mhm.
and you visualize light pouring down from the universe into your head and body.
Okay.
As you breathe in,
Mm-hmm.
you repeat the phrase, "I love myself."
Right.
And as you breathe out,
Yeah.
you release any thoughts, emotions, or feelings that come up
Right.
without judgment.
That sounds incredibly relaxing and rejuvenating.
Yeah.
It's like you're bathing yourself in love and light.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and speaking of love and light,
Yeah.
if you're enjoying this deep dive so far,
Mm-hmm.
don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the Book Summary Podcast
Right.
for more insightful explorations like this one.
Yes, definitely.
Now, in addition to the mental loop and the meditation,
Mm-hmm.
Ravikant also offers a simple
Right.
yet profound question
Yeah.
that can help us reframe our reactions to challenging situations.
Right.
He asks,
Mm.
if I loved myself truly and deeply, Would I let myself experience this?
Such a good question.
That is such a thought-provoking question.
It is.
It really forces you to pause and consider whether your actions are aligned with self-love.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me,
Yeah.
I tend to get caught up in negative self-talk,
Right.
especially when things aren't going my way.
Totally.
Did Ravikant experience anything similar?
He did.
Okay.
And that's precisely why he developed this question as a tool.
Okay.
He found that by asking himself this,
Mm-hmm.
the answer was almost always no.
Right.
This realization helped him shift his focus back to self-love.
Okay.
Rather than getting swept away by negative emotions or trying to suppress them, it's about choosing love as your default setting.
That's a really powerful shift in perspective.
It is.
It's like you're taking back control of your emotional state by consciously choosing love.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
Okay.
also wondering,
Yeah.
doesn't that sometimes mean accepting situations that are uncomfortable or even painful? Oh, how does self-love work in those situations?
That's a great question, and it leads us to one of the more challenging concepts in the book,
Okay.
surrender.
Okay, surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's an interesting one.
It is.
I've heard that word thrown around a lot in self-help circles,
Yeah,
but I'm not always sure what it really means.
right.
It sounds a bit passive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I thought this book was about taking charge of your life and loving yourself fiercely.
Yeah.
So,
I understand your hesitation.
Yeah.
It's a common misconception that surrender means giving up or being passive.
okay.
But in this context,
Ah.
surrender is about accepting what is letting go of resistance
Right.
and allowing things to unfold naturally, even in the face of fear.
So it's more about letting go of the need to control everything
Mm-hmm.
and trusting that things will work out in the end.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how that could be,
Yeah,
but I still think it's a tricky concept to grasp.
for sure.
Maybe we can dive a little deeper into that in part 2 of our deep dive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And don't forget, if you're loving this deep dive so far,
Right.
be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the Bookseller podcast channel
Yeah,
for more insightful book breakdowns like this one.
for sure.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. And I'm really intrigued to unpack this idea of surrender.
Yeah,
It feels like there's a bit of tension there,
right.
right? We're talking about loving ourselves fiercely, but then also surrendering to things we can't control.
Right.
So how do those two ideas work together?
It's a great question, and it's where Ravikant really challenges our conventional thinking about self-love.
Okay.
He suggests that sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the most loving thing we can do for ourselves
Right.
is to simply say yes to whatever is happening,
Okay.
even if it's difficult or painful.
I have to admit,
Yeah.
that's a little mind-bending.
Yeah.
I mean, how can surrendering to something that hurts us
Right.
be an act of self-love? It feels almost counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But think about it this way.
Okay.
When we resist what is,
Mm-hmm.
when we fight against the current, we
Yeah.
create internal conflict and tension.
Right.
That tension, that struggle, isn't very loving towards ourselves, is it?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like we're adding more suffering on top of the situation itself.
Exactly.
Right.
And when we surrender,
Yeah.
we're not saying that what's happening is good or bad.
Yeah.
We're simply acknowledging it and choosing to let go of the fight.
Okay.
It's about creating space for peace and acceptance,
Right. Yeah.
even amidst the storm.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah,
But then wouldn't that make us passive?
right.
Like if we just accept everything, doesn't that mean we stop trying to improve our lives?
That's where the nuance comes in.
Okay.
Ravikant is very clear that
Mhm.
surrender doesn't mean giving up on our goals or dreams.
Right.
It's about letting go of the need to force things to happen
Okay.
and trusting that the universe has a plan for us.
Okay. Even if we can't see it right now.
So it's not about becoming passive.
Right.
It's about shifting our energy from resistance to acceptance and trust.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's about choosing to flow with the river of life
Right.
rather than trying to swim upstream against it all the time.
And I guess that can apply to our internal struggles as well.
Great.
Right? Like those negative thoughts and self-criticisms we all have.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of fighting against them,
Right.
maybe surrender is about acknowledging them without judgment and letting them pass.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And that ties back to Ravikant's idea of loving our thoughts,
Okay.
even the messy negative ones.
Right.
It's about recognizing that they are a part of us,
Right.
but they don't define us.
This whole concept of surrender is really starting to shift my perspective. It's like by letting go of that tight grip on control,
Yeah.
we open ourselves up to something bigger,
Right.
something more expansive.
That's the beautiful paradox of surrender, isn't it?
It's about recognizing that we're not in control of everything,
Right,
but by surrendering to that truth, we actually become more empowered.
right.
And speaking of empowerment,
Okay.
Ravikant also talks about how self-love can help us uncover and challenge those limiting beliefs that might be holding us back.
Oh, yeah, limiting beliefs. I
Right.
think we all have those little voices in our heads
Totally.
that tell us we're not good enough,
Yeah.
smart enough,
Right.
or worthy enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like those beliefs become our own personal roadblockers.
Yeah.
What does Ravikant say about overcoming them?
He talks about his own experience with a belief that really resonated with me.
Okay.
He used to believe that real growth only comes from intense, difficult, and challenging situations.
Wow. I've
Yeah.
definitely felt that way before.
Right.
Like, I needed to go through some kind of trial by fire to become a better person.
Yeah.
That's almost like we glorify struggle.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Ravikant realized that this belief, even though it might sound motivating on the surface,
Right.
was actually incredibly limiting.
How so?
Right.
I mean, isn't it true that we often learn and grow the most from those tough experiences?
Of course, challenges can be catalysts for growth.
Right.
But the problem with this belief is that it can lead us to unconsciously seek out or
Well-
even create those difficult situations.
Yeah.
Even when they're not necessary.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like we're setting ourselves up for unnecessary suffering
right.
because we've bought into the idea that we need it to evolve.
Exactly. And that's where self-love comes in.
Okay.
When you truly love yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you start to question those beliefs and see if they're actually serving you.
So it's like self-love gives you the courage to challenge those old ingrained stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
And create a new narrative that's more aligned with our well-being.
Yes.
Okay.
And in the process,
Yeah.
you might discover that growth can come from all sorts of experiences, not just the painful ones.
Right.
We can learn and grow from joy, from ease, from playfulness.
That's such a beautiful and liberating thought.
Yeah,
It takes so much pressure off, doesn't it?
it does.
Yeah.
And it opens us up to a whole new realm of possibilities.
Okay.
And that brings us to another key aspect of Ravikant's approach,
Okay.
the idea of loving our thoughts.
Okay. Loving our thoughts.
Yeah.
Now, that one really sounds challenging.
Right.
I mean, we all have those negative self-critical thoughts
Uh-huh.
that pop up from time to time.
Right.
How can we possibly love those?
It starts with awareness.
Okay.
Remember, the mind is like a garden.
Okay.
We can choose which seeds we plant and nurture.
So instead of judging ourselves for having negative thoughts, we can simply acknowledge them and choose to focus on more loving and supportive thoughts.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a practice just like any other skill.
Right.
The more we practice choosing loving thoughts,
Right.
the easier it becomes.
Mm.
And it's not about suppressing the negative ones.
Oh.
It's about recognizing them without judgment
Right.
and gently shifting our focus to something more positive.
It's like we're training our minds to be more loving and compassionate towards ourselves.
Yeah.
And I guess as we cultivate that inner love and compassion,
Right. Yeah.
it naturally extends outwards to others, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like a ripple effect.
Right.
Ravikant even goes so far as to say that
That's
when
it.
we truly love ourselves, life loves us back.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in a good mood, everything just seems to go your way.
Right.
But when you're feeling down on yourself,
Yeah.
it's like the world reflects that back to you.
Right.
Did Ravikant experience that kind of shift in his own life?
He did.
Okay.
He talks about experiencing magic in his life.
Magic.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit vague.
Yeah.
What did he actually mean by that?
He describes it as a sense of flow and ease,
Okay.
where things just seem to fall into place effortlessly.
Right.
He talks about amazing people coming into his life,
Mhm.
opportunities arising,
Okay.
and a general feeling of being supported by the universe.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's like when you align yourself with love,
Right.
the universe conspires to bring you more of it.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious,
Yeah.
did he still face challenges and setbacks?
Mm.
Or was it all smooth sailing after he started practicing self-love?
He acknowledges that there will always be ups and downs in life.
Right.
But he believes that self-love gives you the strength and resilience to navigate them with grace and ease.
Okay.
It's not about avoiding challenges altogether.
Right.
It's about facing them with more self-compassion and understanding.
That's such an empowering message.
Yeah.
It means we don't have to be perfect or have everything figured out to experience love and joy in our lives.
Exactly.
Wow.
Self-love is a journey, not a destination.
Mhm.
It's about showing up for yourself every day
Right.
and choosing to love yourself, flaws and all.
This is all so inspiring.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling more motivated to prioritize self-love in my own life.
Awesome.
What about you?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Has this conversation sparked anything for you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One of the things that really struck me was the simplicity of Ravikant's approach.
Okay.
It's not about complicated rituals or elaborate self-care routines.
Right.
It's about making a conscious choice to love yourself every single day.
Okay.
And one of the tools he offers that I found particularly powerful
Okay.
is the mirror meditation.
Ooh, tell me more about this mirror meditation.
All right, sounds intriguing.
He suggests standing in front of a mirror
Okay.
and gazing into your own eyes
Mhm.
while repeating the affirmation, I love myself.
Wow, that sounds intense.
Yeah.
I can imagine it being a bit uncomfortable at first,
Right.
especially if you're not used to looking at yourself in the mirror with kindness.
It can be,
Right.
but it's also incredibly powerful.
Okay.
He believes that looking into your own eyes while affirming self-love,
Creates a deep, visceral connection with yourself.
it's like you're bypassing all the mental chatter and going straight to the heart of the matter.
Exactly. And he suggests doing this for just 5 minutes a day,
Okay.
which seems manageable even for busy people.
I love that he offers these practical, bite-sized techniques.
Yeah,
It makes self-love feel more accessible.
totally.
And for those of you who are just as intrigued by this idea as we are,
Yeah.
don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the Book Summary podcast channel.
All right.
We've got a whole lot more to explore in this deep dive.
Yeah, we do.
We're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into Kamal Ravikant's Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It.
Right.
Before we went to the break, we were talking about that mirror meditation
Yeah.
and how looking into our own eyes can be such a powerful way to connect with ourselves.
It is.
So what else resonated with you about this technique?
Well, it's really about confronting those parts of ourselves
Right.
we might normally try to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get caught up in our thoughts and judgments.
Right.
But when you stand face to face with yourself in the mirror,
Right.
there's nowhere to hide.
Oh, yeah.
You're forced to confront your own reflection,
Right.
both literally and metaphorically.
And in that moment of confrontation,
Yeah.
we can choose to offer ourselves compassion instead of criticism.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're extending an olive branch to those parts of ourselves that we've been judging or rejecting.
Right.
I wonder if doing that can also impact our relationships with other people.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Ravikant actually touches on that idea in the book.
Okay.
He believes that loving yourself can actually improve your relationships with others.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like when we're feeling good about ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
we're naturally more patient, understanding, and compassionate with those around us.
Right.
We're not coming from a place of neediness or insecurity.
Exactly. He even uses the analogy of an oxygen mask on an airplane.
Oh,
You have to put on your own mask first before you can help anyone else.
right.
If we're depleted and struggling to love ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
how can we truly give love to others?
It reminds me of that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
When we love ourselves,
Right.
we're filling our own cup first,
Yeah.
so we have something to offer to others.
And when you love yourself,
Right.
you're less likely to seek validation or approval from others.
Okay.
You're more comfortable setting boundaries and saying no when you need to because you know your worth.
Speaking of boundaries,
Yeah.
I think that's something a lot of people struggle with,
Right.
especially those who tend to put other people's needs before their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're afraid of disappointing others or being perceived as selfish.
Right.
Did Ravikant address that fear?
He did, and he argues that true self-love is actually the opposite of selfish.
Okay.
When you love yourself, you're more capable of giving love to others without depleting yourself.
Okay.
You're giving from a place of abundance,
Right.
not scarcity.
That's such an important distinction.
It is.
It's not about becoming self-centered or neglecting our responsibilities to others.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we also have a responsibility to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it all comes back to that foundation of self-love.
Okay.
It's the bedrock upon which we can build healthy, fulfilling relationships with both ourselves and others.
Okay. That really resonates with me.
Yeah.
But what about our relationship with the past?
Right.
So much of our self-worth can get tangled up in old wounds,
Yeah.
regrets, and those should-haves that haunt us.
Mhm.
Does Ravikant offer any guidance on how to navigate that?
He does. He
Okay.
talks about the importance of letting go of the past and embracing the present moment.
Okay.
He encourages us to view the past as a learning experience
Right.
rather than a source of shame or guilt.
Okay.
We can extract the lessons, integrate the wisdom, and then release the rest.
That makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like we're choosing to focus on the evolution rather than the wound.
Yeah.
But sometimes those memories feel so ingrained, so real.
Right.
How can we possibly change our perspective on something that's already happened?
Ravikant actually suggests that our memories are not set in stone.
Okay.
They're more fluid than we think.
Right.
We can choose to reframe those past experiences by focusing on the positive aspects,
Okay.
the lessons learned and the strength we gained.
Okay.
We're not rewriting history.
Right.
We're choosing to tell a more empowering story about it.
That's a really powerful way to look at it.
It is.
We have the power to rewrite our own narratives,
Right.
even when it comes to the past.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so,
Yeah.
we free ourselves to fully embrace the present moment,
Right.
which is where true joy and fulfillment reside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when we choose to love ourselves in this moment right
Yeah.
now,
Right.
we're creating a ripple effect that extends outwards to our relationships, our work, and even the world around us.
That's a beautiful image, the ripple effect of self-love.
Yeah.
It suggests that something so personal and internal can actually have a global impact.
It can, and Ravikant actually takes it a step further.
Okay.
He believes that if everyone practiced radical self-love, the world would be a completely different place.
It's incredible to think about what the world would look like if we all truly loved and accepted ourselves.
Right.
I imagine there would be so much less conflict, so
Mm.
much more compassion and understanding.
It's hard to even grasp the possibilities.
Right.
But I think we can all agree that there would be more peace, kindness, and joy in the world if we all embraced the radical notion of loving ourselves unconditionally.
And that's what makes Ravikant's message so profound.
Yeah.
He's not just offering a feel-good self-help philosophy.
Right.
He's presenting a paradigm shift that has the potential to transform
Yeah.
not only our individual lives,
Mhm.
but also the world as a whole.
He's reminding us that self-love isn't a luxury.
Right.
It's a necessity.
It's the foundation for a happy, fulfilling, and meaningful life.
Right.
And it's something we all deserve.
Absolutely. I think this book has been such a gift.
Yeah.
It's given us a new lens through which to view self-love.
Yeah.
One that's both empowering and liberating.
Right.
And for those of you listening,
Mm-hmm.
I encourage you to check out Love Yourself. Like, your life depends on it.
Yeah.
And see what resonates with you.
Right.
It might just change your life.
It's a powerful reminder that we are all worthy of love,
Yeah.
starting with ourselves.
Yeah. Well said. And as always, if you're looking for more deep dives into life-changing books,
Yeah.
make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the Book Summary Podcast channel.
For sure.
We'll be back soon with more insightful explorations to help you unlock the power of knowledge and live a more fulfilling life.
Right.
Until then,
Yeah.
remember to be kind to yourself and love yourself like your life depends on it.
Yeah, absolutely.